The rusty blade the wind was dry and full of dust. The sky above was not blue anymore. It was gray, heavy, and silent. Long ago, this land was called Earth. Now the aliens called it Zone 9. A tall alien commander stood on a broken tower. His name was General Karnak. He wore bright metal armor shining with energy. Behind him stood his soldiers, strong, proud, and fearless. They had taken over this planet many years ago. "Look at this trash," General Karnak said, kicking something on the ground. His boot hit an old rusty sword. It was lying near a cracked statue, a human warrior carved in stone. "A blade?" One alien soldier laughed. "Humans use this to fight us?" Karnak picked it up. The sword was heavy, rough, and covered in rust. It looked useless. "This is what they left behind," he said, laughing. "These poor creatures, no tech, no future, only metal and dreams." He raised the blade high in the air, showing it to his troops. "Remember this," he said loudly. "This is the last thing humanity gave us. A joke." His soldiers laughed. But then, the ground trembled. It was small at first. Just a little shake. Dust rose from the ground. The rusty blade in Karnak's hand started to glow. Just a little. Not enough to shine, but enough to feel warm. He frowned. "What was that?" he asked. No one answered. The wind stopped. Even the birds, strange, mutated ones, went quiet. Far away under the surface of the earth, old machines started to wake up. Machines that had not moved in 100 years. In a dark room deep underground, an old man opened his eyes. He was wearing brown clothes, simple and torn. His face was wrinkled. His hair was white. He smiled. "It has started," he whispered. They found the blade. Behind him, lights blinked on old walls. The machines around him made soft humming sounds. The air was full of energy, but it was not like alien tech. This was different. Older. Human. The old man turned to a small group of people. "Send the message," he said. "Let them know. Humanity remembers." On the surface, General Karnak dropped the sword. It burned his hand. "This weapon is active," he said. "How?" One of his soldiers scanned the blade with a high-tech device. The screen showed strange energy. Old, but powerful. "Commander, this blade is not made of normal metal. It has something alive inside it," the soldier said. "Alive?" Karnak's voice was sharp now. "What kind of trick is this?" Before anyone could answer, the ground shook again, stronger this time. One of their ships, parked nearby, lost power for a moment. Its engines blinked and stuttered. "Check the systems," shouted another officer. But nothing was wrong. The ship worked fine. Still, something had touched it, something old. Karnak looked at the blade on the ground. He didn't laugh now. Deep underground, the old man stood in front of a map of Earth. Red lights blinked all over the planet. "They forgot who we are," he said. "They forgot the cost we paid. They think we were weak." He picked up a small device. It looked like a remote but old, with buttons and scratches. "This blade," he said, "was not just a weapon. It was a key." He pressed a button. Somewhere in the Earth's core, something answered. It had waited for a long time. Back on the surface, General Karnak looked at the statue of the human warrior. "Destroy this place," he ordered. "I want no signs of their past left." As his soldiers raised their guns, a sound echoed across the field. It was not a machine. Not a weapon. It was a voice. But it came from the air, from nowhere, and it spoke in clear words. "You laughed at the blade, but you forgot the hand that made it." The voice faded. No one spoke. Even General Karnak felt a chill. "Who said that?" he asked. But no one could answer. The blade on the ground pulsed one more time, sending a tiny shockwave into the soil. Beneath their feet, something very old and very angry began to rise. "They took our skies. The sky used to be blue. Children once looked up and dreamed about flying. Now the sky belonged to them. The conquerors, the invaders, the rulers of Earth. They came 100 years ago. Not with loud noise, not with fire. They came quietly, like shadows swallowing the stars. Their ships were smooth and silent. They blocked the sun with their size, and they smiled with cold faces when they said, "Your world is beautiful. We'll take good care of it." But they didn't mean humans. They took the cities first. New York, Beijing, Delhi, Moscow, all gone within days. Their weapons didn't destroy buildings, they shut down systems. Power plants stopped, satellites fell. Planes dropped like birds with broken wings. Humans couldn't fight. They tried, but bullets didn't work. Tanks didn't move. Nothing, human-made, was strong enough. One by one, world leaders surrendered. And then the skies became quiet, underground. The last free humans went into hiding. Some scientists, some soldiers, some children. They dug into the earth like ants, living in dark places with no light, no hope, and no sky. Many gave up, but not all. In a secret bunker under the mountains of what was once called Scotland, a small group of humans met in silence. There were no uniforms, no flags, just survivors. An old woman stood at the front. Her name was Dr. Elsa Morrow. Before the fall, she was a historian. Now she was the keeper of secrets. "They think we are weak," she said, pointing at the hologram of an alien mothership. "They think we are broken. But they don't understand us." A young man asked, "How can we fight them? We have nothing." She turned slowly and looked at him. Her eyes were tired but full of fire. "We have memory," she said. "We have stories, and we have something they never saw coming." The others leaned in. "What do we have?" he asked. She smiled. "Rage." In another part of the world, deep under the African desert, an old machine woke up. It was made by humans, but not by this generation. It was older than memory. Its name was Project Echo, and it had waited in silence, hidden inside the earth, storing energy for a moment just like this. It began to listen, to feel, to remember. In orbit above Earth, inside a golden alien ship high, Commander Volthan watched reports. Small energy surges detected, his officer said. Origin unknown. Volthan waved his hand. Ignore them. The humans dig and scratch. They're rats. But then another officer spoke. Sir, a forbidden frequency has been heard. Volthan turned. Explain. The frequency, it's human, but it's from pre-collapse era. No tech today could send it. Volthan walked to the window. He looked at the blue planet below. The dead are speaking? He said softly. He didn't like that. Back underground, Dr. Morrow opened a vault. Inside was something wrapped in cloth. She pulled it back slowly. It wasn't tech. It wasn't a weapon. It was a book. Its pages were yellow, handwritten. The cover said, Legacy Protocol. The young man leaned forward. What is this? Our history, she said, and our warning. On the last page, written in shaky letters, when they take our skies, we will rise from the ground. Meanwhile, in a ruined temple in the east, 3 children played near. A stone statue. One of them touched a symbol, an old human symbol. The ground below them opened. They screamed and fell, but not into fire. They landed in soft light. Warm machines woke up around them. A voice spoke, not in alien language, but in clear English. Authorization accepted. Welcome back. A long-lost human defense station had just been activated by a child's touch. General, Karnak was angry. Since touching the rusty blade, nothing had felt right. The blade had been moved to a research ship, but the energy around it kept growing. Alien scientists could not understand it. What's happening to this planet? Karnak demanded. It is waking up, one of them said. Waking up? The scientist nodded. Something was sleeping under the surface. Now, it's remembering. The ground in many places began to shake. Plants grew faster. Rivers started to glow at night. The air smelled different. Like before, animals once thought extinct were seen again. Something ancient was moving, in the bones of the planet. Humans weren't the only ones remembering. Earth itself was responding. Dr. Morrow looked at the sky from a small opening in the bunker. She could see stars, just a few. "Do you see that?" she said to the young man. "Yes." "They think they took the skies," she said. "But the sky is just the beginning." The boy asked, "What happens next?" She turned. Her voice was calm. "Now we take back the ground." The forgotten code deep inside a secure alien lab, the rusty human sword lay in a glowing chamber of glass. Around it, alien scientists floated in zero gravity, whispering in a language only they understood. Machines scanned the blade, trying to break down its structure. They found nothing and everything. "This weapon is not just metal," one of them said. "There is information inside it." "A memory?" asked another. "No," the first replied. "A code, ancient, encrypted, human but not from any known time. On the outside it looked like a useless piece of history. On the inside it held the key to something forgotten." In a hidden human shelter, the young man from Scotland, his name was Cade, stood beside Dr. Elsa Morrow. She handed him a strange, handheld device. It had no screen, just a circular opening and a sharp pulse when pointed north. "This belonged to the blade's creator," she said. "Who?" Cade asked. Dr. Morrow paused. "His name was General Rowan Darius. He died the day Earth fell, but not before hiding something inside that sword." "What did he hide?" "A message. For the future. For us." Across the planet, alien communication networks began failing, one by one. Strange symbols appeared on their screens. It wasn't sabotage, it wasn't a virus, it was the code, and it was rewriting their systems from the inside. "We're losing access to Zone 4, reported an alien officer. "And Zone 7 just shut down," another said. In-orbit Commander Volthan clenched his fists. "This is human work," he said. But the question was, how? Back underground, Cade followed the signal. The device in his hand pulsed faster and faster. Dr. Morrow and a few soldiers moved with him through a forgotten railway tunnel. Rusted tracks, broken lights, walls covered in moss. The tunnel led them to a large steel door. Old, cracked, but still. Standing, words were written above it in faded black paint. "Project Gaia. Do not open." "What's inside?" one soldier asked. "The part of Earth that never gave up," Dr. Morrow said. Cade stepped forward and placed the device into a hole in the wall. Nothing happened. Then, the steel door trembled. Light spilled from its edges. It opened. Slowly. Painfully. Like something alive had been holding its breath for 100 years. Inside was a room, massive, circular, and silent. In the center was a chair, floating above the floor, surrounded by cables that pulsed like veins, and in front of the chair was a single screen. The words blinked. "Code accepted." "Welcome, General Rowan Darius, your heir." Cade stepped closer. "I'm not Darius," he whispered, but the screen replied, "Blood matches." Access granted. The chair came to life. A voice echoed through the chamber. Female. Calm. Human. "I am Gaia," the voice said. "Earth's last defense." The soldier stared. "You're an AI?" Dr. Morrow asked. "Yes," Gaia replied. "Built by the Unity Council, hidden before the fall. I was instructed to sleep until the code returned." "What code?" Cade asked. "The blade," Gaia answered. "It was not forged for battle, it was forged for memory, for awakening. You brought it back, so now I wake." Meanwhile, in orbit, Volthan's ship began to shake. The alien fleet was losing control of their scanners. Their weapons locked onto each other. Warning alarms screamed in every direction. "We are being jammed," an officer yelled. "By what?" "We don't know. It's coming from the ground." Volthan's eyes widened. "Human tech cannot do this." Back inside Project Gaia, the AI showed Cade a map of the world. Red lights marked alien zones. Green dots began appearing, one by one. "What are those?" he asked. "Awakening sites," Gaia replied. "Old Earth technology, Hidden bases, deep cores, backup systems, humans built more than anyone knew. And now, they are coming back online. In the Amazon rainforest, vines pulled away from a hidden doorway. In Antarctica, a frozen door melted, revealing a glowing chamber of light. In the ruins of Tokyo, an underground train suddenly activated, filled with androids long asleep. Across the globe, humanity's secret weapons left behind like seeds began to bloom. Dormaro stared at the screen. "How long until we can use them?" she asked. Gaia responded, "That depends. Do you wish to defend or to take back the skies?" She turned to Cade. His fists were clenched, his eyes burned with something new. "We take everything back," he said. In orbit, Volthan watched as one of his ships, fully powered, fully armed, suddenly fell from the sky, like a stone. No explosion. Just gravity turning against it. The rusty blade, still in the alien lab, pulsed again. Then it broke the glass and floated upward. Mocking the past, the alien city of Valshara floated above the earth like a god's throne, tall towers of crystal, bridges made of light, and skies filled with silver crafts. It hovered over the broken lands of Europe where human cities once stood tall. Inside its golden hall, the leaders of the conquest gathered, giants of different species. Tall, cold, proud. The room glowed with fireless light. Every wall was covered in trophies, broken satellites, melted human weapons, burned flags, and in the center of the hall was the main display, a cracked human helmet and the rusty sword, now glowing softly in a containment field. High Commander Volthan stood tall, on a black platform. His armor shimmered. His eyes scanned the others. "Today," he began, "we celebrate 100 years of dominion, a century since the fall of Earth." Cheers rose around the room. Glasses filled with blue liquid clinked. Some danced, others laughed. "This planet," Volthan continued, "once dreamed of stars. They thought they were important, that they mattered." He looked at the sword. "And now, what remains? Bones, stories, and rust." Another commander stepped forward. "Humans were strange, full of emotion, chaos. They created beauty, and then destroyed it." Others nodded. One alien pulled out an old Earth book. "They wrote poems," he said with mock pride, "and believed love could win wars." Laughter filled the chamber. They had no idea. Beneath them, deep in the soil, a signal pulsed. Inside Earth's core, machines turned. Gears that hadn't moved in generations clicked into motion. Molten circuits glowed red-hot. Satellites once thought lost blinked awake in the darkness of space. The network had returned. The storm had begun. In the shadows of a ruined subway tunnel in Mumbai, 3 human children followed an old man. His name was Samar, and he once worked in code security. Now he was a relic like the world around him, but he knew something others didn't. The past was not dead. He placed a small chip on a cracked wall. It blinked green. The wall split open. Behind it, a giant underground vault filled with rows of tall machines, all marked with a symbol, a circle. Inside it, a single sword. Samar smiled. "They thought these were stories," he whispered. The machines turned on. Back in Valshara, the rusty blade, inside its chamber, began to spin, slowly at first. "Is that supposed to happen?" one alien asked. A scientist rushed to scan it. "It's emitting a pulse," he said. "A wave, but it's not dangerous." Crack! The containment glass shattered. The sword hovered midair. The lights in the room flickered. Volthan raised his hand. "Shut it down," he ordered. A scientist reached for the control pad, but it sparked and burned. Then the screens on every wall lit up with a single symbol. Human symbol, a voice followed. Calm, human, cold. You forgot the hand that made it. For a moment, silence. Then every screen showed an ancient video, a human general, Rowan Darius, standing before the fall. He spoke. "This is not a surrender. This is a delay. You may take our skies, but never our soul. And if you mock the past long enough, the past will answer. The alien stared. Vultan's eyes narrowed. This is a trick, he hissed. But far below, something massive moved. In the deserts of the American Southwest, the ground split open. A tower rose, tall, black, humming. On its sides, the same sword symbol. From inside, old drones flew into the sky. They looked outdated, but each carried a strange blue core, anti-energy weapons. Banned even before the invasion. The skies around the tower turned dark. In Africa, trees parted. An old station sent a signal into space. One of the alien ships orbiting Earth suddenly lost power and began to fall. Another followed. From Mars Base 7, alien forces watched in panic. Earth is waking up, one said. This shouldn't be possible, said another. We erased their tech. No, came the reply. We erased their cities, not their memory. In Valshara, the floating alien city, the rusty sword flew across the room, striking the main crystal tower. The tower cracked. The room began to shake. Outside, the floating city dropped a few meters. Gravity disturbance detected, someone shouted. This is impossible. Vultan shouted back, but the sword glowed even brighter now. Suddenly, it exploded in light, not heat, not fire, but pure memory. Images filled the air. Humans laughing, humans fighting, humans surviving, children hiding, mothers protecting, soldiers defending the last walls. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. We remember everything. In the vault beneath Mumbai, Samar pressed one last button. Giant cannons rose from beneath old buildings, not to destroy, but to shield. Invisible barriers spread across hidden bunkers. Humanity had not built to attack first. They had built to outlast. And now, the shield was dropping. The true face of Earth was coming back. Back in Valshara, Vultan's voice cracked. This ends now. But even as he spoke, the floating city dropped another 50 meters, and above him, for the first time in 100 years, lightning cracked the sky. Real, wild, human lightning. Earth's anger. On a mountainside, Dr. Morrow and Cade stood beneath the storm. They mocked us, Cade said. Yes, Morrow replied. What do we do now? She looked to the rising towers, to the flashing sky. Now, she said, we remind them who we are. Humanity rises. The world had been quiet for 100 years. Too quiet. The skies belonged to the invaders. The oceans were patrolled by their drones. The stars were watched from cold stations on Mars and Jupiter. And humans, forgotten, scattered, hunted. But memory does not die. It waits. And now? It was waking. In the valley of what was once Nepal, the earth cracked open like an egg. From deep within the mountain something rose. Not a weapon, not a ship, but a temple made of steel and stone. Carvings covered its walls, not of gods, of humans. A figure stepped out from its glowing gate. Tall, calm, human. His armor was black and gold, shaped like a second skin. His eyes were gray like ash, but burned like stars. He's real, whispered a child hiding nearby. The figure looked at the sky and whispered back, I remember everything. Across the planet they rose. In forests, deserts, frozen tundras, hidden bunkers opened. Old cities underground blinked with life. Not modern cities, ancient ones, built before the fall. Prepared for after. And from those cities came the keepers. Humans trained for a war no one believed would ever come. They carried swords that glowed blue, shields that absorbed energy. Their minds were linked to the old AI systems. They were not superhumans. They were simply ready. Above, in orbit, Vultan watched in disbelief. His fleet, once untouchable, now flickered with system errors. Gravity disruption in Sector 9. Internal maps wiped in Zone 12. Earth's core is unstable. Correction. Under control. Vultan slammed his hand into the console. How are they doing this? A terrified officer turned to him. Commander, I think I think they built this long ago. Beneath the Amazon River, the core seed activated. It was one of 12 ancient devices buried before the war began, not to destroy the enemy, but to regrow the world after they left. Giant roots pushed through the ground. Trees grew 10 times their size in hours. The rivers glowed with clean, living energy. Animals returned. So did the wild. At the same time, the human resistance, scattered across the world, received the same signal: rise. They were not trained soldiers. They were farmers, mechanics, children, teachers, healers. But they knew how to fight when it mattered. In the ruins of Istanbul, a group of kids used old tech to bring down a scout ship. In the mountains of Canada, a grandmother and her dogs led a signal strike that blacked out a command drone. In Australia, an old mechanic rebuilt an anti-grav tank with parts from a school bus. Humanity had never been about perfect plans. They were about impossible ones. And at the center of it all stood Project Gaia. Her voice now echoed across every remaining satellite, every forgotten bunker. This is not the rise of an army. This is the return of a memory. They took our skies. Now we take back the ground. In Valshara, the floating alien city, the cracks grew wider. Buildings shook. Towers leaned. The planet is rejecting us, said an alien engineer. What do you mean? Volthon demanded. The planet itself. The gravity, the air, the magnetic field, it's alive. Volthon turned to the main display. There it was. Earth. Not quiet. Not broken, but burning with light from the inside. On a battlefield in North Africa, alien walkers marched across the desert. A human figure stood in their path. Alone. They fired. Plasma shots. The figure didn't run. He lifted his hand. A shield of pure light blocked the fire. His armor pulsed. He moved like wind, cutting through machines with a blade that looked like stone but burned like fire. Other humans rose behind him, hundreds of them, some armored, some not, but all carrying one thing the aliens never understood: belief. On top of a building in ruined Los Angeles, Cade stood with Dr. Morrow, watching the night sky. But the stars weren't stars anymore. They were Earth satellites back online, glowing. It's happening, Cade said. Not yet, Morrow replied. Then when? She looked at him, her voice soft, but sure. When they feel fear. Back in orbit, Volthon felt it. Not confusion, not anger, but something he hadn't felt in a century. Doubt. The sword, the rusty blade, now floated above Earth's surface. It had no wielder. It didn't need one. Its code reached into the hearts of the people, not to control them, to awaken them. A single message echoed in every human heart. Remember who you are. From the caves of Siberia to the shores of Japan, from the sands of Egypt to the rainforests of Brazil. They rose. Not just to fight, not just to win, but to remind the universe. This is our planet. This is our sky. We are humanity. And we have prison. The battle begins. The storm did not come from the sky. It came from the ground, from the roots of the earth, from the bones of forgotten cities, from the hearts of a broken people who never truly gave up. This was not just war. This was remembrance. Above the earth, the alien fleet stood ready, black ships shaped like daggers orbiting like vultures. The flagship Sovereign Flame was the size of a small continent. From its bridge, High Commander Volthon looked down at the planet. His eyes were cold. His voice was sharp. They rise, he said. Then we burn them down again. Thousands of dropships descended. They expected fear. They expected silence. They expected to land on ash. What they landed on was fire. In the plains of Africa, alien walkers touched down, tall machines with legs like towers. But the earth cracked beneath them. Giant stone hands, forged from ancient Terra-shaping engines, rose and pulled the walkers underground. The humans didn't run. They charged. Their weapons weren't modern. They were a mix of old Earth technology, experimental gear, and something new. Plasma met steel. Fire met memory. And for the first time in a century, the aliens fell back. In Europe, near the ruins of Berlin, a squadron of alien tanks rolled through the streets, but something was waiting. Under the rubble, human resistance fighters, children of engineers, hackers, builders, activated the ghost net. An invisible signal jammed the tank systems. One by one, the machines turned against each other. From the shadows, humans leapt out. They fought with knives, EMP sticks, bows, even sharpened tools. The streets burned, but the humans did not back. Down, on the eastern coast of America, Cade stood on a skyscraper rooftop. Around him, hundreds of humans in salvaged armor prepared to defend their zone. Above, alien drop pods fell like meteors. Cade looked at Dr. Morrow. "They're coming." She nodded, "And we're ready." Then she pulled out a small golden device, the activation key. "You remember the old subway system?" she asked. "Yeah. Why?" She pressed the button. A tremor shook the ground. Miles of abandoned underground rail lines lit up in red, and, from beneath the streets, earthborne tanks rolled out, powered by clean fusion cores protected by magnetic shields, forgotten weapons built in secret before the fall. They looked like old trains, but they roared like dragons. On the other side of the world, the aliens gathered their commanders in Valshara, their floating city. They sent orders. They launched bombs. They scrambled reinforcements. But something was wrong. The humans weren't just fighting on the ground. They were fighting with the ground. Earth itself was responding, lifting mountains, shifting tides, changing winds. Their greatest strength, control, was failing. And then came the voice. From every speaker, from every screen, from the sky itself. "You took our skies, but the ground is ours, and now we take it all back." On a battlefield in Russia, a girl no older than 12 ran into the open with a glowing beacon in her hand. Alien drones targeted her. They fired. But before the blast could hit her, a shield dome erupted around her. Old tech powered by new blood. And then, from behind her, thousands of resistance soldiers emerged from underground tunnels, led by one of the keepers, humans trained by Gaia, the hidden AI, connected to Earth's systems. He raised a sword that pulsed like lightning. His voice was low, steady, and ancient. No more hiding. In orbit, Volthan gave his final command. "Destroy the planet." His officers looked at him in disbelief. "Commander, do it." They began to prepare the Omega device, a weapon meant to crack planets open. But just as the sequence started, the satellites went dark. A single code, written in ancient human script, flashed across their systems. "We remember." The rusty blade, now floating above Earth's crust, became a beacon. It shot a column of pure white energy into the sky. The beam hit one of the alien ships, and didn't destroy it. It rebooted it, and the ship switched sides. Earth's forgotten AI had taken control. The battle was no longer even. It was turning, and the aliens knew it. "What is this?" one officer cried. Volthan's voice was quiet now. He stared at the planet. "This is vengeance." In the sky, lightning formed a pattern, not natural, not random. It was a symbol, the sword in the circle, humanity's last flag. And as it lit the heavens, a single voice echoed across the battlefield. "This is the day we rise. This is the day you fall. This is the day the Earth remembers." Humanity remembers. The ground still shook, not with fear, not with defeat, but with something older, something deeper. Vengeance. Above the Earth, the alien fleet was collapsing, not from human weapons, but from human will. Systems failed, ships spiraled, orders became chaos, and every screen aboard the alien vessels showed the same message. "You laughed at the blade. Now kneel before the hand that forged it." In the skies above the Pacific, the sovereign flame, the pride of the alien empire, began to fall. Slowly, unwillingly, like a god realizing it was never immortal. Inside, High Commander Volthan gripped the edges of his command chair. Alarms screamed around him. His officers shouted. The bridge lights flickered. Reroute core power, someone yelled. Initiate Omega fallback, but nothing worked. Their systems were no longer theirs. The code, the one they thought was just a symbol inside a rusty sword, had taken root. Not just in their ships, but in reality itself. On Earth, Cade ran through the fire-lit streets of New York, his boots pounding ancient stone and shattered metal. Beside him ran survivors, fighters, engineers, and a dozen kids who had never known a sunrise without fear. In his hand, he held the blade, the rusty sword, but now it glowed white-hot, wrapped in swirling light. Not technology, not magic, memory. With every step, it pulsed louder. With every heartbeat, it hummed stronger. On the horizon, Valshara, the floating alien capital, began to descend, not by damage, but by design. Earth was calling it down. Not with weapons, with gravity, with history, with everything the aliens had ignored for a century. The sky opened. Light poured down in patterns no alien had ever seen. In the ruins of Beijing, Dr. Morrow stood atop the steel bones of a fallen walker. She looked to the sky and whispered, "This is not a counterattack. This is a correction." Around her, resistance fighters formed a ring. They weren't shouting. They weren't smiling. They were remembering. Faces of the lost. Stories of the fallen. The price of survival. Volthan activated the emergency escape pod. It was one of the few systems still responding. He was alone now. His empire, once spanning a dozen galaxies, had been brought to its knees. Not by advanced weapons, but by the unbroken spirit of a broken race. As the pod dropped toward the surface, he whispered to himself, "How did they do this?" The pod crashed into a smoking crater in the middle of a quiet forest. Volthan crawled out, coughing, armor cracked, and there, waiting for him, stood a figure, the old man from the mountain. The one who had first spoken those words. Humanity remembers. Volthan stood tall even in defeat. "We gave you peace. Control. Order." The old man stepped forward. "You gave us silence. Cages. And the cold lie that we were finished." Volthan looked around. "But you were finished. We saw it. Your cities burning. Your leaders begging. Your people broken." The old man nodded. "Yes, we were finished." Then he smiled. "And then we remembered who we are." He pointed to the sky where the sword, the same blade Volthan once laughed at, hovered like a sun. "You mocked the past," he said, "but you forgot what lives inside it." Suddenly the ground split open behind them, not with fire, but with life, trees blooming instantly, rivers of light flowing through cracks. A song hummed from the soil, not music, but memory. The earth was awake. Cade arrived moments later, the blade in hand. He approached Volthan, quiet, calm. Volthan turned to face him. "Is this where you kill me?" he asked. Cade looked down at the blade, then at the sky, then at the survivors watching, and he shook his head. "No," he said. "This is where we end you." He drove the blade into the ground, and the earth responded. Light exploded upward, not in violence, but in release. Every stolen machine shut down. Every alien ship was disarmed. Every memory locked inside the planet bloomed. The war was over. In the days that followed, the skies cleared. The clouds moved freely again. Birds returned. Children walked under the sun without fear. The floating towers fell, and from their wreckage, humans built something new. Not just a city, but a promise. One by one, humans came to the site of the final stand, where the sword now stood in stone, glowing with quiet power, not to worship it, not to use it, but to remember. A new flag was raised, not of nations, not of divisions, but of a world united by loss, rebuilt by memory. A white banner with a single symbol, a sword, in a circle, surrounded by stars. A message was broadcast into the stars. To those who still watch us, to those who think we are weak, come see for yourself. Come hear the silence you left us in. And then, come hear us roar. Because in the end, they took the skies. They laughed at the blade, but the ground trembled and humanity remembered.